Recording started. Okay, Jasmine will join us shortly. We're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I hope everybody's doing well. I know that you've got a lot going on because I remember, and Dr. Revis does too, when we were in the school system this time of the year, how hectic it is with testing and just it's like everything's going on. So we do understand that. We both have been right where you are as teachers, as administrators. We were both high school principals at one time. And then we went to the central office. So we know where you are, so we understand. But just congratulations in being in your last semester. And it's just an honor that Dr. Lamb chose Dr. Revis and me to be able to lead you over the next 10 to 11 weeks to accomplish what you've been striving for the last year. You saw my little bio in the book in my introduction, and I think many of you probably have seen Dr. Revis and me off and on over the last year in various town halls that we've had or whatever. We've been around a while. But again, it's just my honor and my pleasure to be able to work with you. I'm excited. I've got all of you here, and thank you for showing up this evening. That means a lot. Just want to say I am so very proud of you. Very, very proud of you. When I looked and I saw what you accomplished last semester, it was just, you did an amazing job, and I'm just proud of that. This, because you went ahead and I think except for a couple of you, and Dr. Revis is going to be working specifically with you to get you up to where you need to be. Because of all of the hard work that you've done, it's caused me, I mean, you messed everything up for me, but that's a good thing, because I have got to go back and I've got to, you've got, and I'm going to show you this, you've got the schedule, and that's what the schedule should be, if you hadn't done what you've done. But because of what you've done, we're going to be able to do things differently. And I'm not going to go in there and change any of it. We're just going to talk about it and you'll understand. But it's going to be to your advantage. You're going to be able to move forward much more quickly with the SIAP, because I'm going to begin talking with you about that tonight or this evening. And I'm not going to change the due dates. That means that you've just got that much longer to spend working on it and not having to rush to do it. And if you finish it before then, kudos to you, which I believe most of you will based on the work that you've already done. So this is going to be to your advantage. The due dates will not change. It's just going to stretch it out for you a little longer. And with the summer, that's a good thing. And you'll see it after I begin going over some things with you this evening. That's a good thing. Let me just lay out what this evening's going to look like, and then I'm going to allow Dr. Revis to introduce herself to you. I'm just going to open up the Blackboard, and I feel like that even though you've looked at it, I need to go through it and click on it and say, see if you've got any questions and make sure that you understand the flow of things. If you've gone and looked at your grades, you should see that I've already gone in there and I've given you credit for everything with a cap already. How many times can you start a class with 1,000 points already? But way to go. I was so happy last night when it took me a long time to go in there because I had to manually go in there and do all the grades. for you, but it made me happy that I could do that. I mean, for you, and guess what, Dr. Revis? Look what it's done for me. That's freed us up more time to be able to do some other things, that we haven't been able to do in the past because of the time constraints that we're working with. But I've said enough. I want Dr. Revis to introduce herself, and she'll talk to you about, I'll be your main instructor, but Dr. Revis and I team together mainly at 601. But Dr. Lamb has been so kind for the last 2 years to put us together in 605 for an exit class. And I love working with Dr. Revis, but she'll talk to you more about her specific role with you this summer. Dr. Revis?
Good evening, guys. It is a pleasure to be working with you in your final semester with your Gardner Webb program. And I hope you're as excited as we are to see you come to this point. I'm looking forward to working with you. And as Dr. Simmons said, we've worked together quite a bit. A lot of our candidates call us mom and dad. I don't know that you will do that, but we complement each other very well. We almost are able to complete each other's sentences, and we fill in around each other. So while Dr. Stedman is your instructor, I'm here to support you anytime that you have a question, that you get stuck on any of your evidence work or any of your assignments. You can reach out to me and I will be there to support you. So I'm looking forward to working with you and meeting you and seeing you in this program with a big splash.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Revis. I'm going to share to Kendall if you can, and Brandon, you don't have to, but we'd love to see you. We'd love to see who we're working with. So if you don't mind, okay. Hey, Kendall. Thank you. And Brandon's thinking about it. Let me share the screen. And then again, can everybody see that? Okay, this is basically what it's going to look like this evening. We've done welcome and introductions already. I'm going to just do a brief course overview and Blackboard overview. We're going to look at your weekly schedule and just kind of talk about that. Dr. Revis has talked to you already about her task stream and clinical coach 2 responsibilities. We'll visit that more detail another week. We really don't have to get into that tonight unless there's something that Dr. Revis thinks that she needs to tell you. Then I want to make some comments about evidence 5, the CAP, and then we're going to dive into the SIAP because that's where most of you are ready to start, and we need to talk about your weekly assignments and those responsibilities. So with that in mind, let me pull this up. And again, we're a small group, so you can stop and we can talk anytime. So don't feel like that you're interrupting me or Dr. Revis at any time. Just open up and let's talk. I like being able to work with a small group. We don't usually have that luxury, Dr. Revis.
Dr. Stedman, do you want to share with them how you like for them to use the chat box or not use the chat box?
Okay. Right now, unless it's just something major, just open up and just stop us right now, because like I said, we're a small group and we can do it without, if you're okay with that, let's just talk. Are you okay with that? Okay. Again, let me just remind you in your Blackboard that about your My Grade section. This right here, click on that because it is a faith-based school. Dr. Jessup has a video in there about the Christian community that Gardner Webb is, and I encourage you to look at that if you have not. Again, you're already aware of this, your support services, if there are any that you need outside of Dr. Revis and my help. You've done this a million times. Blackboard helps, so that's it. Your course syllabus is there. I don't know that it's okay to look at it. I don't know that it's going to help you that much at this point. But the main thing is that we look at our weekly schedule, task stream schedule and our assignments. And I'm going to pull this up because if you have any questions, this is where we need to ask questions about what your weekly responsibilities are. If you notice, I've taken it and I've color coded things to help make it hopefully more understandable. But just remember that the readings are your responsibilities on your own every week. There's 3 texts that you have to have, and the basic guide to supervision and instructional leadership. The other one, Lord knows, I can't remember the last one. What's the author's name on the other one? Hold it up, Stormy, if you've got it. Okay. Northouse, that's what the Northouse book. You'll do a lot of work from those 2 books. And then this is the one, can everybody see this? The Strengths-Based Finder book. This is the one that you'll have to order. I would encourage you you'll have to get a new copy of it. Don't get a used copy of this, simply because in the back, you're going to find, you see this flap? That flap, that means that there is something in there that's going to allow you to do your personal self-assessment at the end with an activity that you've got to do. So go ahead and order this book. Now, you can get it through, well, Amazon, just anywhere, but make sure that you get the Strength-Based Leadership 2.0.
Dr. Stedman,
Yes.
I have a question about that.
Okay, Tracy.
My book that I bought has Clifton Strengths. Is that the same thing as Strength Finder 2.0?
It says what now?
The little flap on the inside, it says that it's Clifton Strengths. Is that the same thing as the Strength?
Let me see your book. Let me see the front of it. Okay, that looks, yes. And then open up the back. Do you have
There's my little flap.
okay, that's it. You got it. So you're going to open that up at the end. You're okay.
It's just not called, it's just not the 2.0. Is it going to be the same thing?
And you know what? I've had this a while, so they've probably changed that. And as you're reading it, there may be just some brief variances, but in essence, it's the same thing. So you're fine. Thanks,
Okay,
Tracy.
you.
Thank you. And I probably don't need to say 2.0 anymore, because that probably is more obsolete. But thank you for bringing that to my attention. But go ahead and take care of that immediately. You probably can get it in 2 or 3 days. You don't need it right now, but you will need it in a couple of weeks to get started on that. That is a big assignment, a big activity. And that's going to be one that you're going to enjoy it. One of the things you're going to find about in this class is most everything you do, all your reading, all your assignments, everything is going to basically serve as a self-reflection. It's allowing you at this point to begin looking at who you are, where you are, and where you have arrived based on everything that you've done over the past year. Now, I guarantee you, and this is how Dr. Revis and I start out our 601 classes. We always say, I say, take off your teacher hat, put on your principal hat. I guarantee you, every one of you, if you had time, and you'll do this in your reflection at the end of this class for Dr. Lamb, I guarantee you, if we had the time, every one of you could go back and you could talk about where you were when you started this program and where you are now. And I promise you, it's probably like night and day difference in how you think, how you feel, how you look at things, your understanding of things, because you've had to evolve into something different, somebody different. So that's what this class is going to do. It's going to allow you the opportunity to begin to better define who you are as an administrator, and just to see where you are right now. You will find, though, that where you are now in some of the assessments that you do, you can take that same assessment 2 or 3 years later after you've been in an administrative role, and it will change. It will begin changing. 10 years in the business and then 15 years in the business, it changes, doesn't it, Dr. Revis? Because you're growing, you're evolving, and it just continues to evolve. So you're going to find that where you are now is going to be interesting, and you'll look at where you are 5 years from now, and you're going to say, "Wow, look how I've grown." Dr. Revis.
And that's so true, guys. I remember my first assistant principalship was in a high school, and I was shell shocked for about the first 6 weeks, but I grew so much in that first administrative role. But as individuals, we have to have that growth mindset. So we grow and learn every day. And I think that the people that grow and learn the most are those reflective learners. So hopefully at the end of the day, you're going to take a moment and kind of rewind the day and think about, what could I have done differently? What did I think I did real well? And what could I improve upon? That's how we grow as individuals. And you probably do that right now, even in your classroom. You think back to what things went well with your students, what things would you do differently, and so on and so forth. But yeah, we've always got to have that continuous growth mindset.
That's right. Thank you, Dr. Revis. But coming back to your weekly schedule, again, this is where you've blown, most of you've blown everything, because nothing that's in here about the CAP really is applicable to you. The couple that it does apply to, Dr. Revis is going to reach out to you individually, and we're going to put you on a plan so that you can go ahead and get this over with, so that you'll be on target with the SIAP with the rest of the group as soon as possible. But anything with the CAP is over with, except for the couple of students that we'll be working with individually. However, anything else, your weekly assignments, and there are 11 of them, and I'll go over them in just a moment. Some of you have already, one person's done 2 of their assignments already, and another person has done 1 of their assignments. So assignments have already started coming in from the readings. But everything is due to me by Sunday night, no later than 9 o'clock, but you don't have to wait until then. When you get it done, just go ahead and shoot it to me. You'll find I give you a quick turnaround on assessing your work. If you are doing something and you don't understand something, pick up the phone and call me. If you can't get me, call Dr. Revis, or vice versa. You can call us at any time. Do not sit around and think, well, I'll bother them. Bother me. I'd rather you bother me and understand what you're doing and get it right, than you send something and then you have to spend a lot of time going back and refixing something. So, bother us if you need to. That's what we're here for. You can, if I'm not available when you call, just text me and just say, "This is Joshua Justice. Call me when you get a chance at the number." And I promise you, I'll call you back just as soon as I get a break from whatever I'm doing. And but this is pretty much self-explained. Again, it tells you what readings you need to be doing each week, what book it needs to be out of. Then it goes back assignment 1, assignment 2, where it comes from, assignment 3, where it comes all the way down to the last week, which is assignment 11. Does anybody have any questions about what this looks like? Are you able to understand it and follow what I've got in there for you?
I have a question.
Sure.
I just want to make sure I understand correctly. The readings that are listed for each week.
Mm-hmm.
So the first 3 chapters of Glickman and something else. So if they're listed in week 1, does that mean that we're discussing them in week 1, or we just need them for our reading?
You need them for your reading, but that's a good question.
For our assignment, I mean.
Yeah, for your assignment. But that's good because of where you are, there may be opportunities for us to also talk about some of those things now in class, whereas before we wouldn't have had nearly enough time because of me having to work specifically with addressing the CAP that I don't have to do now.
Okay, so get them done prior to class.
Yeah, prior to class, yes.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, you know, I know tonight is different, but and then again, when you're doing your when you're working with your small groups, this is an opportunity to reflect on some of the readings that you've done, as well as you're doing your scholarly talking with each other. You can reflect back on some of the readings that you've done. You can say, and we love to hear this, Dr. Revison, I love to hear, you know, according to Nordhaus, you know, whenever I was blah, 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 and you talk about that, the research, or, you know, think back to whenever you were doing the APTIL and the APSIL and the OMA and all that, the research that you've done with all of those. We love to hear you go back and refer to what you've learned and the research that you've learned and the researchers, you know, so use that in the get accustomed to using that in your discussions and in the language as much as possible. Okay, but we are going to spend more time looking at some of the things that you are able to work that you're doing it week by week and talking about it a little bit and reflecting on some of those things.
And Dr. Stedman, I think we're also going to start introducing the task of the SIAP, are we not?
I'm going to do that tonight. I'm going to show, I'm going to at least get them started.
Great.
That, you know, yes. Yeah, we're going to do that. But I wanted to say that, again, all these due dates for the CAP, for most of you does not apply. The thing is, we're going to begin talking about the SIAP tonight. And then just notice week 6 is when you're going to work on it weeks. Well, let me see where he is. No. Where is it? Dude, upload. Okay, week 8. You actually don't have to turn in, begin turning in anything for the SIAP until week 8, but I promise you, 99% of you will be through before week 8. After we get started with this, you won't wait until then, but you do. I'm going to give you up until that time because I want quality work turned in. So I'm going to give you time, and it's comprehensive. The SIAP is very comprehensive, and you'll find that out when I start introducing it. So again, I'm glad that you've got the time to be able to spend the time that you're going to need to make sure that it's all pulled together. And that what you're going to put the bow on it, and it's going to be the best Christmas present ever. That's the way we're going to look at it. But our due dates are going to stay the same on that.
Dr. Steph,
yes.
for our assignments, can we turn them in early, or would you prefer to wait?
Absolutely no.
Okay.
No. When you turn them in early, the more you get done, the less I have to do at the end of this program. So that makes me happy too.
2 more questions. One is about the case studies. The case studies, we write a half a page review on the questions and the case study from our point of view. Then we meet with our group, record it, and then write a review from our dialogue. Is that
right.
correct? So
right. And I'll go. Yeah, and I'll go. That should be that's no different than. I know that in 603 that you did, they were more intense, but the format is pretty much the same that you've always done. Now you've got small groups. It's a small class, so you've got small groups. Some of you, there's only 2 of you. There's some of you with 4 of you. However, I do not mind if you're in a group of 2 and you want to join another group of 2, just ask me. I don't care. Okay? Or you can work with 2. I'm okay with that.
I think Josh has brought me into his group pretty much right now. I'm in 2 groups.
Yeah.
But my last question is, I
You
think
can stay in
assignment,
that other group.
do what?
You can stay in that other group.
No,
Yeah,
it's
just, yeah,
still story.
as long as everybody has at least one person to work with, I'm okay. But sometimes, you know, if you're a group of two, like I said, you can join another group of two so that it's if that makes it more comfortable for you. I don't care.
I'm not leaving my girls. Me and Josh just talk. We just talk on the side, Josh. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Anyhow, my last question is on assignment. I think assignment 11. One of the last assignments. It says that we have to write basically what we received out of Dr. Lamb's interviewing session. You know, we just attended his interview session the end of last semester, so only like 2 weeks ago. Can we write off of that interview session, or do we need to wait till his next one?
Well, I don't know.
Just had it.
I don't know if he told you everything. You never know about Dr. Lamb. Dr. Lamb, he is so full of so many different things. I don't know. So you can. I saw you laugh, Tracy. You didn't know what I was going to say, but anyway, if you feel like he gave it all to you, then Josh, then I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. But now he's going to be upset if you don't join him again at that last session. He likes an audience, and you know that. So we're going to show up for Dr. Lamb no matter what, even if we have written it up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just wanted to make sure. I know we just had it. All right. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but it'll be good. I mean, whatever he does, even if he repeats some things, and I know he will, it'll be good again because you'll be going in, you know, you'll be getting ready for, hopefully ready for that interview process. So anyway, we're going to make Dr. Lamb happy no matter what. Okay. Everybody agree on that? So, but that you're good to go with that, Josh, if you feel comfortable with that. I don't care. Let me, good questions. Let me move this over and let me see. Okay, let me come. Okay, you'll find on your test stream schedule is the same thing. Again, the cap does not apply to most of you, so don't worry about that. This is where I wanted to camp out for a little bit, where the assignments are, so that we've got a clear understanding of that, and then I'll get into the assignment 1. Again, this comes from your Northouse reading. Just use a quotation from chapter 1 of Northouse Leadership to describe the difference between organizational leadership and management. Cite the text using APA style, briefly telling your own words why you want to be a leader. And again, you see how this is a reflection activity. Just make sure that you take the time and you give it the time that it needs to really dig deep and to you know, just to be honest with yourself. The only other person that's going to be reading this is me. I may share some things with Dr. Revis. If I like it, I'll say, Dr. Revis, I want you to read this. But pretty much it's just going to be me. So, you know, I just want you to be very open and honest and transparent as you reflect on these activities. Assignment 2. Again, there are many big ideas presented by the authors in the opening 3 chapters of Glickman. That's your other textbook. And it lists, but it's not limited to, supervision and moral purpose, factors that describe the schools of the present, visions of effective schools. You're to pick one of these topics that resonate with you based on your personal experience. Briefly describe your experience, tell how it relates to the text reading. Now, I will tell you, in the past, people have really done an excellent job on this, and they were, because it's just me, they really opened up and shared some really good things. After they did the reading, they were able to reflect back and what it does, most of the time, it's not a good experience that you're reflecting on. However, they realize that you can take that bad experience and turn it into a good experience for you, because I can tell you, I was an assistant principal for 8 years, Dr. Revis, at an elementary school. I worked for 2 principals. The first 2 years was not the best 2 years that I could have had. The next 6 years were the best ever. But I learned from both of them. From the first one, I learned everything that I didn't need to do as an administrator. And from the next one, I learned every good thing that I needed to do as an administrator. So I learned from both of them. However, the experiences were very different. Assignment 3 is your first case study. Now, what we're going to do on this is where they will be due on that Sunday night. Your work will be due on that Sunday night. And then when we come together on that Tuesday, everybody we won't have time to go back and reflect. But after I've read, I probably will say, okay, and I'm seeing Josh and Joshua right now. I may say, Josh, I really liked what you had to say in case study 1. Would you talk to us more about it, or would you share something from what you said? Those kinds of things, and then we'll get a discussion started. And then if there's anybody else that wants to tag on to that, we'll have those opportunities. But we want to take some of them a little bit deeper, as we can in our class discussion. So just be prepared for me to call you out, with some of these assignments. Assignment 4 from Glickman, chapter 6, explained this. This is another self-reflection. The concept of the Johari window. Now you'll find under week 4 a lot of stuff that I've put in there about the Johari window, where you can do some things on your own. I want you to make sure that you explore under those different weeks the additional things that you can do that will help you better understand some of the things that you're doing. But the Johari window will, it's going to really help you begin learning about yourself. And we'll talk more about that when that time comes. We will talk about this completely in class, and we'll be completely transparent with each other and learn from each other about that experience. Assignment 5 from the Glickman, chapter 9, you're to write a 1-page response identifying your strengths and weaknesses on the supervisory behavior continuum. You'll read this, and again, this is another self-reflection. Assignment 6 from Northouse, chapter 10, let's assume that you will be chosen to lead a school one day. What is servant leadership? How will you apply your knowledge of it to your leadership style? This is one of my favorite assignments as well. Then assignment 7, that's another case study that's self-explained. Assignment 9, or assignment 8, this is strengths-based book. By that week, there's a lot of things, and when you open this up, you will see that it's a pretty loaded assignment. Open up. Okay, so there it is. Okay. But it's a pretty loaded assignment. You're going to work with after you do this work, you're going to get with your group, and you're going to share these responses. But after you've read it, you'll have a better understanding. But again, these are reflective things that you want to think about. Like number 1, respond. In the book, it talks about discuss the differences between a leader and a manager, citing valid research in the discussion. In other words, what does the research have to say based on your reading and what your knowledge of things? There's a quote in there, if you spend your life trying to be good at everything, you will never be great at anything. What does that mean? Again, you're going to reflect on that. While he has spent much of his career in a leadership role, the vast majority of a boss's efforts have been focused on trying to mimic traits of leaders he has known or read about. What is that saying? Without an awareness of your strengths, it's almost impossible for you to lead effectively. Do you see how you're going to have to dig deep within you and reflect about who you are and where you are to be able to respond to many of these things? All of these are in the book. Then this activity will culminate in a Socratic seminar approach or a discussion with whoever's in your group And you're just going to share equally about your responses and your reflection on those things. And then we're going to come back as a group, talk about them as well. Then the Strength Finder activity. The second half of this text includes additional resources for connecting with and identifying with your strengths as a leader. These pages include specific information for understanding the full focus of this activity. At the end of the text, you will find a packet of information that will provide you the necessary tools for completing this activity. And again, we talked about having to purchase a new book. But anyway, once you get there, you take the assessment, it gives you your report, and then you're going to reflect on what that report has to say about you. You're going to learn something about you as a leader. And again, it goes back to the self-reflection. This is what you will have to turn in as a result of completing this activity. And we'll talk more about that, closer to the time. But just go ahead and start opening up. Let me see. And then, let's see, that's the Strength Finders. You've got another case study. There's 3 case studies. In assignment 10, this is Dr. Lamb. Again, we're going to show up for Dr. Lamb and we're going to make him happy. And then assignment 11, that is Dr. Revis will take the lead on 11. Dr. Revis, would you like to speak to that for just a minute?
Well, just a quick overview without getting into the weeds too much. This will be an assignment where you're going to work in teams, and you will be assigned a team around one of the 5 digital competencies. And you're going to do some activities around that, those digital competencies that you're assigned to, and you'll do a presentation to the whole class. So it's a group activity where you work together and then work together not only with putting together a plan of action, but presenting that to your classmates. So we'll talk about the details of that later.
And that's almost kind of like, we'll call that your final exam. I know you don't like to hear that word, but that's, we'll call it that anyway. We'll say that's your final exam.
And that night, that class that we do those presentations, guys, will probably be one of our 2-hour classes. We're not going to go 2 hours like Dr. Lamb talked about last night. We'll try to keep it close to an hour every week. But that week when we're doing presentations, we just can't get through them all without going a little over the hour.
Right. And we'd stay longer if we need to. But we're not going to keep you just because you've got too much work to do. For us to just do that. Again, this is where you're going to start with the SIAP task and prompts, the SIAP guidance. The SIAP guidance, this is very, very important. I want you to look at this. I developed this last summer. This will help you. There's your template that you follow. But this right here, you need to copy this off and you need to follow it almost verbatim as I have written it. And it's going to help you. It's going to help you tremendously if you do what I ask you to do. By the time you get this, let's talk about the SIAP. This is evidence 6. The SIAP is your school improvement action plan. Now you've 99% of you've completed the first 5 evidences, and at this point, you should realize that everything that you've done is an overall plan for effectively leading and managing a school. This is in essence all the ingredients for your school improvement plan. So this is what you're doing now. You have done, I promise you, some of you, or not all of you at this point, you've done more than some principals in schools have ever done, even in the job that they're in now. You are equipped to be where you are now. You are equipped to go in and to understand and to be able to lead a school. So evidence 6, the school improvement action plan is the opportunity to now combine all of this research. You're going to go back to evidences 1 through 5, and it's like you've written chapters. Now you're going to put the book together. Chapter 6, you're going to combine it all, and you're going to put it together. Now, I know you've heard this term used. Dr. Lamb has said it, but he says it. I tell him this. I said, you say it too loosely. I said, I don't want you to mislead them. While there is copy and paste, that's not what it all is. You can copy and paste, but there has to be a rhyme and reason why you're copying and pasting, and it has to flow, and it has to have a logical sense, and it has to make sense with your narrative work. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about. So yes, you can copy and paste. You've got just about everything that you need already back in 1 through 5, or a lot of it. And I'm going to tell you how to go back there and find it and to pull it. And then we're going to learn how to put it all together so that it all makes sense for your evidence 6 that you're going to be doing. Let's look at, just follow me down here. Make sure you follow all instructions carefully for the SIAP using the template that has been provided for you in Blackboard. Again, you're going to begin by completing your cover page for evidence 6 SIAP. The only thing you're going to do is put your name there for the last time. You won't have to do it after that. The background information, the description, the profile, all of that stuff, you've got all that unless there's a reason to have to change it. So you're going to pull all of that into your final evidence 6. You're going to use whatever that is. Now, this is where it begins. This is task 1. Task 1, and you see the heading, School Data Project. You are going to lead a professional team of educators, and that can be a combination of your established PLC, it can be the school improvement team, administrator, it can be a combination of all of this in an analysis of school data that will assist the team to formulate the following: a clear image of the school's academic accomplishments, opportunities for growth, let me see it. And that's what you're doing, a clear image of the school's academic accomplishments, opportunities for growth. You're to be specific and deliberate. Now, you've done a lot of this already, so you're going to go back and find it. But if you don't, let's see. This is what you must do. And when I look at task 1, I need to see these headings. You're going to address the following, but it's not limited to all of this. This is just, these are must. If there's more stuff that you've, God, I can't get, there it is. There's more stuff. You must, at this point, address what attendance looks like in your school. That's important information. What does discipline look like in your school? The tests, standardized test results, what do they look like in your school? The benchmark test results, what do they look like in your school? And any other data determined essential to tell the story about your school. You are going to take this is your school improvement plan. You've got to be able in evidence 6 or chapter 6, whatever we want to call it, you've got to be able to have everything in there to be able to look at what you've got to do to be able to improve student achievement at the school. That's the end result, is improving student achievement. If attendance is a problem, then you've got to address that for improving student achievement. If discipline is a problem, then that's got to be improved at this point to improve student achievement. And then, you know, if the test results are not what they are, that can all be reflected because of attendance and discipline. So all of this works together. No, you will disaggregate the data by subgroups. And all of you, you remember you were introduced to EVOS, am I correct? Do all of you understand what EVOS is? Or do I need to have Dr. Lamb to come back and talk to us again about EVOS? We got it. You got that. Okay. Utilizing EVOS or other data analysis tools that measure academic progress to set appropriate academic goals and expectations, ensure each student at a minimal meets or exceeds expected growth. What you've got to do, looking at all of this, you're going to disaggregate down. You got to see where you are to know where you got to go. That's putting it in a nutshell. Dr. Revis, any comments on that?
Well, I just want to reemphasize that evaluators will want to make sure that you have disaggregated your student learning data and student growth data by subgroups. So that's key there.
Right. Make sure you include evidence of the following when you're doing this. Clearly convey your leadership. That's important. Evaluators are going to look for that. Convey your leadership of a collaborative team and an analysis of the school's academic standing utilizing multiple data sources. Make sure it clearly shows you are leading a team and not doing this by yourself. Now, a lot of it you've got to do by yourself, and I understand that, but then you've got to be able to present it and work with the team. It cannot show at any time that you have not been, you're to prove yourself as a leader. And if you don't have people there, you're not leading. So it's if necessary, do a Zoom meeting with them, whatever you have to do. Meet them face-to-face, Zoom meeting with them, but just provide evidence that you are meeting with a team of people and keeping your, and I hope most of you've got an administrator that is a part of your team as well. That helps out a lot when you do. Your narrative work must show evidence of effectively communicating findings to the school improvement team and administration clearly and accurately. Now, I'm going to tell you, your evaluator is going to look at this part right here, school improvement team. If you do not reflect in there that you have presented to your school improvement team as well as administration, they will take off points for that. Am I right, Dr. Revis?
Yes, exactly.
So make sure that when you get to that point that you are presenting or you're sharing and communicating with your school improvement team. Again, Dr. Revis emphasizes use subgroups to reflect on current status of academic progress and set appropriate academic goals and expectations to assure each student at a minimum meets or exceeds expected growth. Again, this is your EVOS. Okay. I've said a lot, but I want you to look here. I've given you some help. You see all this in red? When you see red, that means I'm telling you where to go find it. This is where you've already done work. In the APSL task 1 through 3, you're going to find a lot of what you need there. Be sure to add EVOS if it was not included in your analysis in the APSL. But when you go to APSL task 1 through 3, you're going to find in those tasks almost everything that you need up there. Also in the ALMA task 1 and 2, you'll find more information that you need. And then the CAP task 1 and 2, they may have some attendance and disciplinary data in there. But this is where you've already done work that you can go back and find it. This is where you can cut and paste, but your narrative work will tie it all together. But this is where you can go find it. You don't have to go back and do it all over again. It's already there.
So Dr. Stedman, can I just copy and paste everything out of tasks 1 through 3 for my APSL and ALMA tasks 1 and 2 and CAP tasks 1 and 2? And can I just copy and paste that? Or do I have to convene a PLC as well?
You got your PLC you must lead your PLC and you must share with them, and they must be a part of that decision as it relates to your school. Now you can you need to go in there leading them, and you need to be prepared to suggest this. And most of the time when you go in there leading them and suggesting things, they're going to say, yeah, that looks good, whatever. But you need to, you just don't do it without having some input from them. Libby?
Hi,
Hi, Libby.
Kimberlyn Smith and we are in South Carolina, so we just wanted to let you know that we don't use EVOS.
Right,
There's several different places to gather data about our school.
right,
We have the SCTS 4.0,
right,
and then we have, of course, the teacher working conditions survey, climate and working conditions survey that parents take and teachers take at the end of the year. So our work will reflect that data, just so you guys know whenever you see it.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
you probably do know, but I thought I should say
And
something.
thank you. I should have said that, Libby, but thank you for bringing that out. Yes, South Carolina is different, but we understand and we know what equates to what North Carolina is using. Thank you for sharing that with me, though, Libby. And I think that South Carolina does the Cognia, and then
Yes, we do
yeah,
Cognia.
Cognia.
We just did our accreditation this year. It's like every 5 or 6 years. So
Right.
I just went through that at my school this year. So it's pretty in depth.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but thank you for bringing that to my attention. We are aware of that, but thank you. Are there any questions at this point? I know you've got to to let it, but do you understand with task 1 is all about the data? You're pulling all of the data together. Remember, in task 1, in evidence 1, 2, 3, and 4, all of it had data. Now you're pulling the data from all of those previous, you're putting it together. You've got to put it together, and it's got to have meaning when you put it together. It's got to be organized when you put it together. And your template will help guide that. Again, this is where you can go find a lot of that stuff. And this is what Libby was talking about right here. Teacher Working Condition Survey Analysis Project, or Advanced Ed or Cognia in South Carolina for task 2. In task 2 of the SIAP, you will continue leading your team of professional educators in an analysis of the elements of the Teacher Working Condition Survey, or whatever it is in South Carolina, or other data used by the school improvement team that will assist in drafting, monitoring, and revising your existing school improvement plan. Remember, you will be leading and providing data that will be presented in an effort for the school improvement team and administration to see a need to implement the recommended changes. You know, they may not, but you're going to provide them with everything and say, here it is, based on what my findings are. And now what they do with it's going to be left up to somebody else. But you will have at least done your job in presenting it to them. This is what you're going to do. You're going to create a visual display that identifies data sources and clearly identifies specific findings from each of the sources. You will use your own creativity for this visual display. The Teacher Working Conditions Survey Analysis Project or Advanced Ed project will include the visual display outline in the task directions, video evidence that findings were presented to peers. The peers can be any combination of your PLC, improvement team, administration, and any available staff from your school. Again, this will more likely have to be done. Well, at this time we were saying via Zoom presentation, but you're back in school now. But you can do this via Zoom if necessary, but just provide the proof. And then a reflection on the usefulness of the display as it relates to student achievement and school attainment. Again, you're writing about a lot of things in task 1. This is going to be visually displaying everything. This is where you're going to find your stuff. Your CAP task 1 through 4 and your SCIP task 1 prompt 2. A lot of this you've already done. You go back and you look at that. Now I'm telling you all this now because you'll have time between now and next week to begin looking at that. And then you can come back with questions next week. And you can say, I need more of understanding of what you're talking about here, or can you explain this a little bit better? Or, if I need to pull up an example of something, then I can do that. Okay, so just be thinking about it. And, and if you think about something and you want me to present it next week or tell you more about it, send me an email and just say, Dr. Stedman, can you talk about this more in detail next Tuesday? And I'll be glad to do that. So let me know in advance if there's something that you want me to work on. The third project is a focus group project. Now, notice when you say a group, that means what? There's people involved. A focus group project, this is dealing with qualitative research where you're talking with people. You're going to decide, you're going to assemble a team of stakeholders. Now, this could be both internal and external. It could be, now, if it's your school improvement team, your school improvement team should have a community person on it. Now, whether they do or not, they're supposed to have a community person on there. But if not, then you can decide bringing your PTA president in, your booster club president in. There's just a lot of people that's connected with the school that you could say, will you be a part of a meeting? And it doesn't have to be a lot of people. It can be 4 or 5 people. You don't want a large group, but you want to form a focus group of people from your community, your school, parents, faith-based partners, businesses, or whatever, for the purpose of conducting qualitative research on the findings of the school data project from task 1, the teacher working conditions analysis project or advanced project from task 2. So everything that you've done in task 1 and task 2, you're going to talk to this focus group about that. And you're going to ask questions, and you're going to script what they say. You're going to say, you will name them, you won't identify them by their names, but then as a part of the research, you'll say that participant A or participant B, however you want to name them. And when you ask questions, based on or what they share, you're going to script and you're going to talk about this in task 3. But this is you're getting feedback from the stakeholders in your school about your findings, what they see, how they feel about it. And again, you're not making this up. This is how they feel. And again, if you can conduct this face-to-face at your school, then that's wonderful. You figure out what works best for you, but just know that you've got to do your focus group in task 3. Dr. Revis, any comments about that? Well, while you're looking, this is where you can find information for task 3 that you've already done. The skip task 1, prompts 1 and 2. The skip task 2, and skip task 2, and then the CAP task 1 through 4. A lot of that information that you've already done can be found in to be able to put up there. Dr. Revis?
Well, just be sure that when you bring your stakeholders together, that you go through the information and the data presentation. And remember, you're asking them for input on the strategies that your PLC has come up with.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's important how they feel. And then task 4, you will develop a document that specifies availability of resources, people and money, human and fiscal, to support. Who are you going to need to carry out the work that needs to be done? And if money's involved, how much money is going to be involved? Where are you looking at finding this money? Is it going to be in your Title I budget? Is it going to be in is it going to be in a grant? Where, if you're recommending things, how are you recommending that it's going to be done? these are things that you have to look at to be able to move forward. Dr. Revis?
And it may be that you're redirecting some funds
Right.
that you're using for something else to address one of the strategies that you want to implement. And you just simply say that, but you have got to identify the resources you need and where they're coming from, both human and fiscal.
Right. Just say, for instance, I'm using this as an old program. Let's say, for instance, that you're in a school that has Study Island. Study Island is expensive, but maybe Study Island, maybe it's done all it's going to do at your school. So maybe the recommendation could be that you consider not using Study Island anymore and looking for a program that is a more updated program, or something that I'm just using that as an example. That's a way that you can redivert funding in a different direction. Okay, but you're going to make recommendations, suggestions of what you can do. You will also provide a plan for acquiring needed. Again, how you're going to get money, and how you're going to get, where you're going to find the human resources that are not already there that will be needed to support the school improvement plan. You know, you're not just asking for something. You're going to say, these are suggestions of how we're going to be able to move forward with these recommendations. And again, make sure that they're reasonable, you know, not something that's unreasonable. The narrative and graphic organizer will include all the necessary resources, human and fiscal. And when we say a graphic organizer, you need to write about it, but you need to also show what this looks like, you know, with the monies, you know, if it's Title I monies, how much, we need to have a visual picture of what you're talking about there as well. This is where you're going to find work that you've already done. Evidence 1 of the APSL, the growth, the growth plan from evidence 2 of the APSL, the marketing plan from the SKIP that you've already done, and the teacher working condition analysis project or advanced ed project from the CAP. You got lots of stuff already that you're going to be able to pull from. This is where you copy and paste and put it together in a meaningful way. We're almost there, y'all. Task 5. The candidate will produce a graphic organizer that clearly illustrates the following. Remember, in the APSL and the APTEL, the graphic organizer that you used consistently with your action plan, this is going to be where this is going to be the glorified one. This is where you're going to put all of that, all of those action plans together, and you're going to pull from it. It doesn't mean that you've got to take everything from every action plan and put it. You're going to pull what you feel is relevant to the SIAP task 5 to present to your school improvement team and your administration for what the school improvement plan should look like. So it may be all of it, but it may not be all of it. But again, this is where you're going to find it. This evidence includes the action plan from the APSL, the growth plan from the APTEL. Again, we've talked about again all of this right here. You're going to pull what you need from there, but organize it into what this graphic organizer looks like. And again, be creative with that. This is your work. It's what you want it to be. I am going to next week, I'm going to give you time to think about it. I'm going to pull a good completed, I can't give it to you, but I can show it to you. I'm going to show you a good completed SIAP from last year next week after you've had time to reflect on this and think about it a little bit, okay? And then task 6. You've worked with these 21 competencies many times, haven't you? where you're going to work with them again. But again, remember what I told you, that in this semester that it was more of a reflection. That's what task 6 is. You're going to take those 21 competencies and you're going to do a self-analysis, rating yourself. The self-analysis includes a rating of developing or competent and a brief explanation of the reason for the rating that cites one example. In other words, Stormy's going to look at communication and she's going to reflect on communication as it relates to where she feels like she is after completing 3 semesters of the last year and a half of this program. And she's going to rate herself as developing. She's going to talk about communication a little bit, rate herself as developing skill, or she feels competent in it and why. And just give an example of, in there. Again, this is about you. It's about you. It's your self-reflection of where you are with all 21 of these competencies as you are bringing closure to the end of this program. Okay. That's a lot. That's a
And
lot.
Dr. Lamb, excuse me, Doctor, I called you Dr. Lamb, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Dr. Stedman, from Dr. Lamb's town hall meeting, please remember you've got to start working on your 80 hours of clinical internship. And that can start as early as May the 1st. And we will talk more about when all of the things are due and task stream for your competency and portfolio. You've got to do another round of those competencies. If you do this smart, whatever you do in task 6 of the SIAP, if you have an artifact for that, you can pop that right in your competency portfolio. So, work smart on that. And we'll go over those deadlines, but don't let that slip up on you, and start getting those clinical hours in immediately.
Okay. Guys, do you see the helpful hints though? I know it's a lot to take in, but do you see how this can guide and help you though? I mean, take it step. Don't again, if you look at the whole, I felt like it was necessary because of where all of you are to go over the entire thing. And then we're going to start breaking it down. Like next week, I'll cover whatever I need to cover, as much as I need to cover at that time. We won't have to go over all 6 things. I can just focus on where we are with maybe 1 or 2 at that time, and we can just take it slowly. But all of you work at different rates, and I just didn't want to hold anybody back. And because of where you are, give you an opportunity to just begin moving forward with it. Stormy, Libby, you have another question?
Well, it's about clinical hours. It's not really a question, but
Okay.
in Horry County where I work, they do not offer summer internships. So I had to complete all of my clinical hours in previous semesters, and that's already been taken care of. So if I don't, and Dr. Lamb already knows all of this, but I can send him an email and carbon copy you guys if you want me to. But I've already done all of my hours. I had to do double my hours twice. So
just talk personally with Dr. Revis about that, Libby.
okay.
Just
All
communicate
right.
with-
I didn't mean to
communicate.
take up anybody's time.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no, you're not. Just talk with her about that. Okay. That's good though. Any questions at this point? I know you've got to take all this in. I know. I understand that. But
I have a question that may be, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Stormy.
It might be, I guess, specific to Jasmine and myself, but we're at the same school. And so what I'm understanding is there's a lot of presentations for the SIAP. So would we be able to do stuff together, or do you recommend we keep things separate and stay individual?
I could say you could do some things together. Just make sure that your work and your work is written differently.
Right, okay.
You know, but I would say you know, you don't want to and I may just talk with you and Stormy and Jasmine. We may just Zoom together and talk about what this needs to look like.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll work it out though.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Other questions? Does what I've shared with you tonight, does it give you some direction? Does it make sense? Do you know at least how to get started? Okay, that's what I wanted to know. You're a smart group, so I know that you're going to do well with it. Again, if you don't call me, if you have a question, whose fault is it? It's your own. Call me. I promise you, I will call you back as soon as I get an opportunity. If I don't answer the phone right then, you've got my phone number. It's listed in the course syllabus, Dr. Revis. I don't know if your phone number's in there or not, Dr. Revis, but you may want to give them that as well.
I did. I put it in the chat box.
Did you? Okay, gotcha. Okay. But all you got to do is just reach out to us. Any questions of us at this point? Okay, good. Dr. Revis, I am impressed.
I am too, and I'm looking forward to working with this group. I think these are the superstars, don't you?
I know they are. I mean, I told you, I about did a happy dance when I saw how much work they had completed. And again, the couple of you that Dr. Revis needs to work with, Dr. Revis is going to communicate with you, and again, it doesn't matter. Let me do this. It doesn't matter. We're family. Let me see. Before we, okay, let me do this so that we'll make sure. Rachel, make sure you get in touch with Dr. Revis.
I think Jasmine.
Jasmine, I can ask you this. It doesn't matter. When I went in and looked, I did not see your APTEL score. Okay. Just okay. We'll talk about that then. Okay. Okay. Got you. Okay. We'll talk about that. We got to fix it because Dr. Revis and I, we have to make sure that everybody is cleaned up. You know, by the end of the semester. So we'll get there with you then. Okay.
And I just want to say one word of caution, guys. I know that you see, oh, I don't have to do anything with my SIAP until week 8. Don't get in that mindset. Go ahead and get it done because we're at the crunch time here at the end, particularly with you being at the end of your program. And we want to make sure that you've got everything. We don't have any surprises at the end. And so let's just go ahead and start hitting the work and getting things knocked out. Okay.
Yes, it is. And I know they are. I know they are. Okay, guys, I'm excited. I'm excited. And I can promise you this, and I use that word a lot. And I guess I'm bragging a little bit. You're in good hands with Dr. Revis and me. I promise you that. You're in good hands. You're in all state hands.
I feel like we all get that feeling. Both groups
Okay.
I mean have been saying like we're really excited. It's almost a fresher breath there to us almost. So we're excited. We really are thankful. I think I can speak for the group that you have a template for us. You have clear due dates for us. You have outlined what's expected for us. That really helps us. And as far as I know, the groups that I've been working with, we'll have that work into you. We won't lag around for it. I promise.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Josh, for that. I appreciate that too as well. Well, guys, we're going to let you go and get started. I know that most of you are going to be working probably until 1 o'clock in the morning. Nah, but anyway, get started and we'll see you next week. And again, call me if you need me this week. Okay.
And call me as well. Have a good
Yeah.
evening.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Dr. Stedman, can Jasmine and I hold back?
Sure.
Bye, Tracy. If you want to just talk to Jasmine about that score, then we can schedule another time, but I don't know if you want to just talk to her about that and about us this semester.
Okay, let me pause